When someone loses a limb, something strange often happens. The limb is gone, but the pain isn't. The brain keeps sending signals to a hand that no longer exists. Doctors call it phantom limb pain, the body grieving a part of itself by insisting it's still there. Here's the thing. The brain doesn't only do this with limbs, it does it with people. There's a specific kind of loss where, long after someone is gone, your mind keeps reaching for them, keeps firing signals into the space where they used to be. You pick up your phone to text them. You hear a song and turn to say something, and there's nothing there. Most of us learn this the hard way, usually young, usually at the hands of one particular person, and years later, after bigger losses and harder goodbyes, that early one still carries a strange, outsized ache. This is about why, because it turns out that pain isn't just poetry, it's biology, psychology, and timing, all colliding at the worst possible moment. Let's start with what's actually happening in your body when someone breaks your heart. Neuroscientists have found that social rejection activates some of the same brain regions involved in physical pain. When researchers put heartbroken people into brain scanners and showed them photos of their exes, areas linked to physical distress lit up. Your brain, in a very real sense, processes heartbreak as an injury. And that's not a design flaw. For most of human history, being cast out, losing your bond to another person, losing your place in the group was genuinely dangerous. So evolution gave us an alarm system. Make disconnection hurt, and people will fight to stay connected. The problem? That alarm system doesn't know the difference between being exiled from the tribe and being dumped outside a movie theater at 16. It just screams, something vital has been severed. Then there's the chemistry. Romantic love floods the brain with dopamine, the same reward chemical involved in motivation, craving, and yes, addiction. When love is new, every text, every glance, every inside joke is a hit. And when that person leaves, withdrawal. Real, physiological withdrawal. The obsessive thoughts, checking their profile at 2 a.m., replaying conversations, the desperate urge for just one more interaction. That's not weakness. That's a brain in craving mode, looking for a supply that's gone. Okay, so heartbreak hurts. But that explains all heartbreaks. Why does the first one hit hardest? 3 reasons. And the first one is deceptively simple. You have no evidence you'll survive it. Think about it. By your 3rd or 4th heartbreak, you carry proof. You've been shattered before, and you're still here. You know, not because someone told you, but because you've lived it. That the pain fades, that you'll laugh again, that someday this person will be a story you tell, not a wound you carry. But the first time? You have nothing. No data. No reference point. When your brain whispers this pain will never end, you can't argue back. Every heartbreak after the first is survivable, partly because the first one taught you that it was. The second reason is about when it happens. Most first heartbreaks arrive in adolescence or early adulthood, and that's not a neutral backdrop. The teenage brain is still under construction. The emotional centers are running at full volume, while the prefrontal cortex, the part that regulates emotion, keeps perspective, says this feeling is temporary, is still years from being fully developed. So a first heartbreak isn't just a big feeling. It's a big feeling hitting a brain that doesn't yet have the full braking system to manage it. It's a hurricane arriving before the storm shutters are installed. And there's something else about that age. Psychologists talk about the reminiscence bump, the finding that we remember events from roughly ages 15 to 25 more vividly than any other period of life. Those years are when identity forms, when firsts pile up, when the brain essentially writes in permanent ink. Your first heartbreak isn't just stored as a memory, it's stored as a founding document. And here's the third reason, the one I think matters most. First love usually happens while you're still figuring out who you are. And when you fall in love at that age, the boundary between me and us barely exists. You don't just date this person, you build yourself around them. Your music taste, your plans, your idea of your own future. They're woven into the answer to the question, who am I? So when they leave, you don't just lose a person, you lose a version of yourself, the future you imagined, gone. The identity you constructed, suddenly missing a load-bearing wall. That's why first heartbreak can feel less like sadness and more like disorientation. Like the ground itself is unreliable. You're not just grieving them. You're grieving the you that existed with them, and you haven't yet learned that you can build a new one. Later in life, we love differently, not less deeply, but with more of ourselves already established. We bring a whole person into the relationship, so when it ends, a whole person walks out. At 16 or 19, you brought a person under construction, and when it ended, it felt like the construction site collapsed. There's one more layer, and it's a quieter one. First love is the only love you experience without armor. Before your first heartbreak, you don't know that love can end. Not really. You've heard about it, sure, in songs, in movies, in other people's stories, but you haven't felt it. So you love with total, reckless openness. No hedging, no guarded corner of your heart kept in reserve just in case. Every love after that carries a small asterisk, a part of you that remembers, that watches the exits. It doesn't mean later love is worse. In many ways it's wiser, steadier, more real. But it's never again that particular, unrepeatable free fall. So when the first one ends, you lose something you can only lose once. The belief that love is safe. That's the innocence tax, and everyone pays it exactly one time. So, first heartbreak hurts because your brain treats it like an injury and a withdrawal, because you have no proof you'll survive it, because it hits a brain that isn't finished being built, because you lose not just a person, but a self, and because it's the only heartbreak you face completely unguarded.